Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining us for today's Lunch and Learn. I'm Lauren Smith with the International Franchise Association, and we have a great 30 minutes lined up for you. Before we begin, I would like to remind everyone that we are recording today's webinar and will make it available later this evening on community.franchise.org. If you have any questions for today's speakers, please add them to the chat box and they will be addressed toward the end. Today's topic is how Everline increased their close rates by 76% for 59 franchises, and it is brought to us by Proposify. Here to provide today's discussion is Jennifer Faulkner and Nigel Baxter. Thank you all for joining us today, and thank you to Proposify for sponsoring today's Lunch and Learn. I'll go ahead and turn things over to you.
Thanks, Lauren. Whoops. Oh, I'm not able to. There we go. We're off to a great technical start. And would everybody believe I work for a tech company? I'm really doing well so far. So hi, everybody. As Lauren mentioned, I'm Jennifer Faulkner, and I'm the Director of Brand and Communications at Proposify, which is online proposal software. We're going to talk more about that. And with me, my co-host is, I'll let you introduce yourself, Nigel.
Yes. Thank you, Jennifer. My name is Nigel, guys. I'm VP of Field Operations for Everline Coatings and Services, Canadian-based franchise. It's recently undergoing a vast expansion into the US. Super excited to be here today. I don't know how much more detail you want me to go into, Jennifer, but I can go 30 minutes if you need.
I'll give you a chance. That's awesome, because we want you to be the star of the show today, for sure. So what we are going to talk about, this is the topic, how Everline increased their close rate for 59, or all of their franchises, really.
Yeah, so it's more than 59
more
now.
Than 59 now. So we're going to get into that. What I wanted to do is the format of this. I'm going to let Nigel talk a little bit more about what Everline is and what they do and how they've been growing. And then I'm going to just give a brief overview of what Proposify is, because we're new to the IFA community. A lot of people don't know who we are, what we do. And then I'm going to go through this quickly so then we can get back into a really good discussion with Nigel about how Proposify and proposal software has helped Everline with their rapid growth. I will also be giving away swag packs of Proposify merchandise. So if you have questions, if you want to win a swag pack, drop questions into the chat and we'll get those taken care of for you. So just to keep everybody rolling along. So to start with Nigel now, go for it. Tell everybody all about Everline and how amazing you guys are.
Perfect. And I like that you're motivating questions with swag prizes. It's a pro move. Okay, so Everline Coatings, we're a pavement maintenance company. We actually started, I mentioned already, but we started in Canada 11 years ago in Calgary, Alberta. So that top left photo, that's our founder, John Evans. He realized there was just a need in the market for a more professional pavement maintenance company. And back then we were only a line striping company, to be honest. We've since grown our service expanded our services since then. So 11 years ago, John started this up. I actually bought a franchise 6 years ago now. So I was one of the very first franchisees. So I've been able to see Everline grow over the last 6 years. We expanded rapidly throughout Canada. We're coast to coast in Canada. And then about 18 months or maybe 20 months ago now, we actually expanded into the US. So we had no idea how that was going to go. It took a lot of work on the front end to get ready for it. And thankfully, it's gone very well. We've been exploding more or less. We've brought on, I believe as of today, about 70 franchisees in the US, and we're continuing to every single month. That's kind of a little bit about Everline. I mean, I guess our services, just if anybody's curious, so we started as a line painting company. We now do crack filling, seal coating, asphalt and concrete repair, pressure washing, basically anything you could imagine in your, in a parking lot. Our primary clients are B2B, so commercial clients, and we also have a large range of national contracts as well too that we service. Anything else there, Jennifer? Is that gonna work for you?
Well, I was just gonna mention, because that is the bottom left of when you guys were on Dragon's Den, which is
yes. Yes,
Canadian version of Shark Tank. So they were,
correct. And I
yeah.
appreciate that you didn't take a photo where I had my long hair. So that's awesome. So I was actually on here as well. That's Dylan, our Edmonton franchisee. But I had terribly long hair back then. I just shake my head when I see it now. What was I thinking? So it was a bad decision.
I wish
Bad.
we got one of those pictures instead. Also, is that one of the
It's fine.
investors? Is that one of the dragons riding?
That is one of the dragons. Yeah, his name's Vincenzo Guzzo. So we actually let them paint lines and spray stencils on air. Well, on air. On Dragon's Den, we got a deal, which was fantastic, and that was 2019. We did that. So before we were even really considering moving into the US, but that was a stressful but very fun and cool memory.
Awesome. Awesome. Okay. So now we're going to get back with, together with Nigel in a few slides, but I just want to talk about Proposify a little bit. So one of the things that we did a few years ago is we interviewed or we surveyed a lot of our customers who are sales leaders, and we asked them like, and what was before you joined Proposify, what was the status quo of your proposal process? What did it look like? So you can see all the words here, right? Redundant, bottleneck, inconsistent, micromanage. I love hot mess. I should mention that before, I've been with Proposify for 8 years. So from when we basically had 100 customers to now we have over 10,000 customers. And before that, I worked in the marketing agency world and did a lot of business development. And so I was responsible for creating a lot of proposals. And I can relate. All these words are actually kind of triggering for me for all the nightmares of creating proposals beforehand. And that's actually how we came to be as a company, as our co-founders, Kyle Racky and Kevin Springer, were from that world. And we're just like, there's got to be a better way to manage proposals. And at the time, there were not really a lot of options for it. There are lots of quote management and proposal management options now. But at the time, they were really trying to, like a lot of businesses do, they created a company out of a personal pain that they had. So I don't know. I mean, if anybody can relate to any of these words and you want to drop it in the chat that you feel this way about your own proposal process right now, hopefully it's not Nigel is going to use any of these words. So so one of the things really that happens is once you send your proposal or quote, people call it all kinds of different things, or your bid, a lot of things can happen between when you send it and when that closes, and things that you really don't have any control or visibility into what's happening with that. I'm having a good time with this. There we go. So one of the problems is that on the top of funnel, there's all kinds of tools. And I'm sure lots of you who are on this call today use all kinds of things for a top of funnel with your franchisees. So there are tools for research and prospecting and qualifying and demos. And these are just a few, and not knocking any of those. Those are fantastic. But what we found is most sales teams, most franchises, once you send the proposal, everything goes dark. There's no way to get any visibility into what's happening with those proposals, how your prospects are interacting with them, what's actually being sent, especially if you're a franchise and you don't know what your franchisees are doing, what their activity is like. There's no opportunity for back and forth to negotiate with your prospect, and even getting it signed off. So there's like, everything is great at the top of the funnel. And then once it gets closer and it's time for the close, things just go dark. And that's why we use the analogy, there's a black box in that bottom part. The other problem that happens is all of these kind of tools are going out. So you're using these tools to send proposals. And these tools aren't really ideal. They all have their place. They all were not slagging any of them. But in terms of proposals, you can't make a really good professional proposal using a Word doc. It's easy for mistakes to go in them and different versions to be used and send out. So you don't know which version is saved, which version are your reps or your franchisees sending things out with. There's no way to get insight into how How are people interacting with your really exciting Excel spreadsheet? And especially I know, for example, with franchises, brand consistency is really important. And it's really hard to get that with these particular tools or making any changes. Yes, you can send out a PDF, but if you've got to make any changes, it can be quite arduous. Where, you know, ideally what you have is between when you send the proposal and when it closes, you have a lot of visibility into and control into that. You have visibility into what's being sent from your team. Is it on brand? Is it the right information? Is it the right pricing? Is it going to the right people? You also get to see when a proposal is opened by your prospect, when you send it, how long they spent looking at each section, because so it can really give you some great insight. Like if they're spending 20 minutes on the pricing page and they've just flipped through everything else, you might want to pick, when you see that, you might want to pick up the phone and give them a call. So there are different ways you can use that visibility to influence the close and make it more likely to close. Also, sign off. You can do sign off there with electronic signatures and even get paid using our some of our integrations. So obviously, in the perfect world, Proposify is a solution, and that's really what we do well, is help companies get that visibility and control, so they don't have a black box when it comes to what we think is the most important stage of a deal, and that's in closing it. So Proposify offers visibility for franchisees into the proposals and the deal, and that goes right from the franchisor level, so you can see what's going on in all those different locations and units, but also the franchisees can see what's happening with their own proposals at their level. It gives you control over the workflow and the branding, so everybody's not doing something different, everybody's following the same system. The branding is the same, the messaging is the same. Yes, they can customize it for their particular location or particular services for sure. And I'm not just saying this because I feel like Nigel will back me up, because I know lots of companies say this, but we do have like an incredible support team that really helps guide you through the implementation, setting up a workflow, and then with any problems. I feel like the Everline people have written into support and helped us uncover things we didn't even know about, and we're always so grateful. But we really do have an awesome support team, so you're not just signing up and then you're left to deal with it on your own, and good luck. Okay, let's see if I can do this. So I just want to run quickly over the visibility, at how we give you control and visibility really quickly. So again, those reporting and insights, you can see how many deals are on the go, what stage are they at. You can find out if they're looking at, who's looking at which proposals, how long they're looking at it, who's doing it. Are there people who you didn't even know were part of the deal? Are they involved now? There's snapshots, there's notifications, and there's integrations with whether it's CRM or your invoicing. We have a variety of other business tools that we integrate with. Consistency. So again, we have a design editor, so you can match your brand and make it look great in your proposal. We have a content library, so you can store all approved content, so people can just drag and drop what they need into the proposal. We provide templates. We really recommend people use templates, because then you've got it set up and ready to go. And we offer professional services to convert your proposal template into Proposify and make sure it's got really good branding. If you've got to add pricing tables or anything like that, we can help you get set up with that. And then with the control, again, that workflow control, as I mentioned, the content library, so you can be sure that only approved content is being used. There are roles and permissions. So yes, Nigel, I'm only going to allow Nigel. He can change some of the pricing. He can't change any of the descriptions of the kind of services. He can send, but he can't sign. There's all kinds of different roles and permissions you can set up to make sure that you have control and things are going out the way that you want it to. Again, I mentioned about CRM integrations, Salesforce. There's a variety of CRM, HubSpot that we integrate with. And then the design editor. So again, you can make your proposal look really sharp, really differentiate yourself from your competition, and look professional, and blow anybody who's sending a bid out on a boring Word doc or PDF out of the water. So we help you with the onboarding, we help you with implementation, we'll train your people, we set up regular training, and then we also help by regularly providing you with best practices. So our customer success team will meet with you regularly to look at, like, how can you get more out of your account? How can you be using Proposify better, so you can see better results? And really our whole mission is to make every deal a closed deal. So we want to help whatever we can to make that happen. So that was like speedy overview of Proposify, but now we want to get into the really good stuff and talk with Nigel about how they increased close rates for more than, I should have added here, 59 franchises. So I'm just gonna, maybe what I'll do is, no, I'll leave it up here for now. So one of the things, Nigel, I thought I would ask you, because I know you mentioned about your explosive growth, like how have you guys been able to scale so quickly?
Yeah, so I mean, it's been a challenge. I think growth always comes with its challenges, but having great systems in place has been one of the ways that we've been able to manage it. So we've obviously got a fairly, I mean, I'm biased, but a fairly impressive tech stack, and Proposify is part of that. I think it's important to talk a little bit about where we came from. And I'm long-winded, so just cut me off when you need to, but I used to think we had a mediocre quoting process. So for years, I would just send proposals through QuickBooks Online. So, we'd build out the proposal, we had descriptions, it was okay. It got the job done, but just like you said, as soon as I would download it out of QuickBooks, write a nice email, send it to the client, it would go into the void, the black box. So one of the ways that, has really helped us in terms of growth, but then also just increasing that close rate is the oversight that we have now once the proposal's sent. So not only do we like that, and you mentioned a lot of the key points already, Jennifer, but not only do we like that we have consistency now with our quoting process, we have templates, you drag and drop the services for each quote, you plop those in, you can change the description. We give them quite a bit of freedom over what they can, what the franchisee can change, but they can, change the description, obviously change cost, quantity, etc. But what I really like about it is that once you send it, you actually know that they've received it and they've opened it. You can see if they forwarded it along, and if you're getting multiple opens, it's probably moving its way up the ladder. You can see where they're spending their time, which is really cool. So when you're doing your follow-up call, I know that they spent 30 seconds on line painting and 6 minutes on seal coating. Maybe they have questions about seal coating, maybe that's the direction I'm going to steer my follow-up call. So all those things kind of culminate together. But I think my favorite part about the proposal that we've built and the templates we have is they tell a story. So really quickly, the franchisee can build a fast quote, but tell a story so that, as it moves up the ladder and goes to decision makers, because you can't always get to them, they get to see the exact same story that maybe you did in your sales meeting, with the property manager, for example. So I come from a college pro painting background. We always used to preach you need to paint a picture, no pun intended, when you're going to go paint a house. It's the same story. You want to build value all the way through the proposal, and I think it does a great job with the templates to do so. So does that kind of answer the question?
Yeah, that's great, because you went into what I was going to ask you, what your proposal process was like, and you definitely touched on that.
I beat you to it. My bad.
No, I'm glad. Go for it. No, it's all good. And I agree. When I was responsible for proposals, there was nothing worse than sending it out and then just having no idea, because you don't hear did they not get it? Did it get caught in spam? Are they reading it and they're mad? Or did they totally missed the mark on this? Is this deal dead? What's going on? But at the same time, I don't want to call them too soon. I don't want to bug them. So, you know, that those notifications, as you point out, really help guide what your next steps should be. And also, like I think that's a great example. Maybe change your tactic, because maybe they're more interested in a different service than you thought that they were, or there's an opportunity to upsell them, right?
Yep.
On something
Yeah,
else.
and sometimes in our world too, like there is a long sales cycle. So it's interesting because you may think a deal's dead, and then all of a sudden, boom, you get that notification that they've reopened the proposal. All of a sudden, that's live. Maybe it's worth picking up the phone and just happening to give them a call and checking in, right? So it just gives you like so much control over the process once you sent it, which is super cool.
Yeah,
It
and
just
I think
basically,
that
yeah, it supercharges the process.
the other point you made there, which we see because we're, you know, we service mostly B2B businesses. Usually B2B businesses are not known for their really beautiful proposals, right? So it is an opportunity to stand out from like maybe the rest of the quotes and the bids that your prospect is getting are really boring looking, or it's hard to decide, because if you're just comparing numbers to numbers, how do you differentiate which one I should go to? And then
Yeah, I think, well, I have a couple points on that one. So actually, we're in a bit of an old school industry. I mentioned that really quickly. Like I know some of my competitors send like loose leaf quotes. So can you imagine, like you got a loose leaf quote and then you've got, you know, a Proposify quote. It's night and day. And I think it's a bit of a I mean, there is an element of, you know, budget always plays a role in the B2B world, but there still is that element of being an emotional favorite. And I think this is just another layer. Of course, you have to have a great sales meeting. You know, you have to make it seem like you know what you're talking about. But I think this adds a whole nother element to just becoming that emotional favorite in the sales process, which, you know, I'll take as much of that as I can get.
absolutely. And we've heard, we have a customer who's like one of the largest commercial landscaping companies in the US. And they say it's allowed them, they're generally 15% more expensive than their competition. And it allows them to sell at that, because they
Yep.
basically, or they make it seem a better investment with their proposal. They're justifying why we're more expensive, and can provide more value. So there's real opportunity.
Yeah, we're in a very similar boat. Like we're almost never the lowest price, and that's not where we want to be. There's no, you know, it's a race. There is no bottom in terms of pricing. So yeah, and it's done the exact same thing for us. And the funny thing that I always laugh about is like, you know, it takes just about the same amount of time to build this great looking proposal because of the templates that it does to build a QuickBooks quote, and that the end result is night and day.
It's totally different. So can you talk a little bit about the experience of working with Proposify to set up a workflow that worked for you guys?
Yeah, so it was, I mean, and I think we were probably one of your guys' first franchises, I believe, but
Yes.
it was a really smooth process. I mean, we worked with you guys to build our templates, build our individual service pages so they can be drag and dropped. I know you guys have done multiple support and like training calls with the franchisees, which is great because we don't have necessarily like the most tech savvy always franchisees, right? Everybody's gonna have that. And that's not a knock against them. It's just, you know, maybe you've worked in an industry where you haven't worked with a computer all that much before. So having that support, and then I know too, like even in my own franchise, like we still use the support page like all the time. You know, like we're having trouble with the table or something like that. You can just write in there, and typically we get a quick response, which I know the franchisees really appreciate because typically deals are time sensitive. And I know we always try to push like, you know, 24-hour turnaround on quotes. You've got something kind of tech problem happening in the background. You want to get that sorted out quickly so you can get the quote out. So yeah, the support and the setup was great and nice and easy.
Awesome. And one of the things that, and correct me if I'm wrong, because you may have changed since I was given an overview of how Everline operates with Proposify, but you have like a parent account, so you can see into all the franchisee proposals,
Yes.
right? So they have their
Yeah.
accounts, they create their proposals and send them out, but you can go in and look, which provides a
Yes.
coaching opportunity, better forecasting, all of that, right?
Yeah, and I had coaching written down on my notes. So I manage the FBC, or the franchise business coach team for the for Everline franchising, and our job is to make sure that the franchisees are sticking with the system and that we're supporting them all the way through their business ownership. And one of those elements is actually going in, taking a look at proposals every once in a while, giving notes. Or it's really handy too if a franchisee has a question on a proposal, we can jump right in. It's really nice. We can see how many proposals they're sending. We get all this great data, which we use proposals sent as a bit of a benchmark on to forecast work that's potentially coming in. We know roughly our close rates. But it's also a great indicator of how hard the franchisee is working. You need to be sending, we always say sales is a numbers game, and you need to be sending lots of quotes if you want to get lots of work. And so, how many quotes they're sending per week or per month is a really great indicator of how that franchisee is doing.
And that, to your point, allows you to see which franchisees are doing really well, and how can we then replicate if these ones over here are doing a great job and closing lots of deals, how can we replicate that success in these?
It's going to allow us to set some benchmarks too. We're so new in the US that we're still gathering tons of data, but eventually there is going to be this pathway. You send X number of quotes, you can expect X amount of revenue, give or take some. And this is just one of the tools that we're going to use to start to set those benchmarks.
And can you talk just on that a little bit, how easy it was to kind of plug and play, or how do you get this implemented with your franchisees? Because I know that for anyone, that's a daunting thing of thinking how are we going to get everybody using this and drinking the Kool-Aid of Proposify?
Yeah, so we have a fairly extensive onboarding process, and a week or 2 weeks of it is actually revolves around getting trained on how to use Proposify. So we've actually built out our own suite of videos to train the franchisee in our particular process and how we use Proposify. But so those videos kind of live there. They can use them whenever they want. But our sort of mentality, especially with the new franchisees, is that they don't know anything different. We don't train another way to quote. This is the process, and this is how you're going to send your quotes. And once you do it a couple of times, it becomes really straightforward. And then once you start kind of swimming in the numbers and seeing the analytics that come from it, and the fact that they can, sign while they're out for dinner with their family, and the ease that it provides, it's not a hard sale to get everybody to send their proposals through Proposify.
That's awesome. Yeah, I love that. Also, when you're out for dinner and you get the notification.
Yeah, we always joke they could be having a beer and sign the proposal right there. It's that simple. And I think it's important too to remember, especially in our industry, our clients are crazy busy. Anything we can do to just simplify the process, have them just sign on their phone, we'll take it. It's great. Anything to just simplify it for the client.
And just like that, my gosh, we're really.
I know. It's my fault.
No, it's not. No, it's great.
I'm long-winded.
I'm just curious, because we've got franchises on here today, if there's something that you would recommend, or what you have to say about your own proposal journey and getting, hopefully it's Proposify, but using proposal software in general, how has it helped, or what would your message?
Yeah, to me, it's just a bit of a no-brainer. Honestly, the consistency component, it's the example of a Big Mac. If you go to McDonald's, you're going to get the same Big Mac everywhere you go, and that should be your proposal process, right? You want to make sure that all of your franchisees are sending proposals that are on brand and consistent with the messaging. And I think that's what's so great about it. It just makes it so easy that nobody's upset or complaining about that they have to use it, and that it keeps everything consistent. So you know what to expect when you're going to get a quote from an Everline franchise.
Awesome. I love it. So in the next couple, what time we have left, I'm happy to answer any questions. I see Liz said consistency is key. Yeah, absolutely. We used to have a campaign where we said, are your sales reps butchering your brand? That's when we were going after marketing agencies, because God love sales reps, but sometimes they can go a little rogue there. Zach, I see your comment. You must be a Canadian if you want to catch up potato chips. So I don't know if you're going to any IFA meetings, but I'm happy to hook you up and import legally some ketchup chips down for you. So Jeff Powell, so John asked, is there a version of this solution that applies to non-franchise businesses? Absolutely. We actually started marketing. We were marketed towards when we first started out, small business solopreneurs, marketing agencies were our target audience, and then we started to see that other sales teams could benefit from what Proposify offers as well. So actually, we're used by across all industries, as long as you're. I mean, not consumer products as much, because you generally don't need a proposal to create a proposal to win business. But really, any company that needs to produce some kind of document to win business, we can help you with that. And there's different packages depending on how in depth you need to get. So franchises or non-franchises, we can save the world one proposal at a time. So
there it is.
there. And Jeff, did you asked a question about semi-absenteeism? I'd like to hear how we deal with candidates that think they can run the semi-absenteeism when we all know how much involvement it takes up front to get jobs complete, jobs higher. Jeff, are you on there and can come on and just, are you able to unmute yourself? Maybe not. No.
Just really quickly, I don't know if I know exactly what he's talking about, but we do have not many, but some semi-absentee, or they've got a GM running it. And again, I think Proposify is a nice fit just simply because it standardizes the process. So you can send quotes really quickly. You can do it from anywhere where you've got a laptop, makes it simple to send and send proposals, see the data. So I think there is an element of how this could fit nicely into like a semi-absentee business, I guess. I don't know if that's exactly what he's looking for, but I do think that it would help.
Well, especially to your point about speed, you can set things up so it's much more, so it's not taking 2 hours to create a proposal. You can
exactly.
You've got everything set up. You just need to plug in whatever the particulars are, and then you can get out the door. So it definitely can reduce the time that you need to spend on those things. So
you can get back to your margarita on the beach quicker.
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. So I don't know if there are any other questions people want to drop into I know we're at time, so I don't want to take up too much more time, but if there's anything else people want to ask, otherwise we will pick, I guess 3-4 people will be getting swag packs. So we'll reach out to you to get your t-shirt size and that sort of thing. And if you want to check out Proposify and also sign up for a demo, you can visit proposify.com. We have a dedicated franchise page called Franchise Proposal Software. So check us out. Really appreciate everybody coming and your time. This is our first time presenting to franchise at the IFA to this audience. So we're excited. And I will be at the Emerging Franchise conference at the beginning of November. If any of you are there, I'd love to meet you in person and answer any questions. And I just want to thank Nigel for joining me on this, because it's great and I appreciate it.
You bet. It was fun.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Jennifer and Nigel. This was excellent content and excellent feedback from all of you. We really do appreciate it. Again, this webinar was recorded, and along with the presentation deck will appear on our website early this evening. You'll be able to find that at community.franchise.org. Thank you very much again to Jennifer, Nigel, and the Proposify team. And again, thank you to everyone for tuning in. Have a great rest of your day and stay safe and healthy. Bye.
Thanks, everybody.
Thanks, everyone.